This is the residence of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the undisputed leader of the Bengali nation. Throughout the long struggle for independence, the house was one of the cradles of blood birth of the state called Bangladesh. It was in this house, built in the early 60s, that a unanimous decision was taken on 25 January 1964 to break away from the National Democratic Front and revive the Awami League, which later led the Bengali freedom struggle. After the failure of the opposition convention in Lahore, the extended meeting of the Awami League in this house adopted the historic 6 points, known as the Bengali Emancipation Charter. Bangabandhu's residence was one of the party's centers for conducting the 1970 elections, in which the people of Bangladesh gave their absolute mandate to the Awami League. Sitting in this house, Bangabandhu and Awami League leaders listened to the election results announced on the radio.
রক্ত যখন দিয়েছি রক্ত আরো দেব এই দেশের মানুষকে মুক্ত করে ছাড়বো ইনশাআল্লাহ এবারে সংগ্রাম আমাদের মুক্তির সংগ্রাম এবারে সংগ্রাম স্বাধীনতার সংগ্রাম
Before this historic speech of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on 7th March 1971 at the race course ground, a meeting of the working committee of the party was held for 36 hours in this house at 32 Dhanmondi. Sheikh Mujib decided what to say in that speech from this house. During the non-cooperation movement from the beginning of March to 25th March, this house became the address of all the processions in Dhaka.
Sheikh Mujib, how successful do you think your non-cooperation campaign is? Some people say that it's now affecting East Pakistan more seriously than West Pakistan.
You say that when a nation fight for their freedom and emancipation, the nation had to suffer. But so far the non-cooperation movement is concerned, you are in Dhaka now, you have seen that a man is cooperating with me. And the administration is the people who are governing this part of the Pakistan, and the Bangladesh.
On the occasion of Resistance Day on 23rd March, Bangabandhu hoisted the flag of independent Bangladesh with his own hands in this house.
A Pakistani execution squad lined up slightly to the right of the center of the screen. About 20 people were herded onto the killing ground from the right corner of the picture. One man, dressed in black, dropped to his knees and begged for mercy. The Pakistani soldiers opened fire.
On the night of 25th March, when the barbaric Pakistani soldiers started massacring innocent unarmed Bengalis, they arrested Sheikh Mujib from this house. Before his arrest, it was from this house that Bangabandhu made the Declaration of Independence, which was broadcast across the country through the wireless of the then EPR. Bangladesh became independent on 16 December 1971 after 9 months of bloody war. On 10 January 1972, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the architect of independent Bangladesh, returned home from Pakistan's prison. Bangabandhu started living there with his family after renovating the Dhanmondi 32 house, damaged by the Pakistani invasion forces, without moving to the designated government residence. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman spent the rest of his life in this house. The door of this house was open to common people during his lifetime. Like Bangabandhu and his family, this house also became a Bengalese own. Like the touches of the history of Bangladesh, the memory of this great leader, who spent a long life of struggle and spent countless days in prison, is attached to every brick and wood of this house. And that's why anti-Bangladesh forces have repeatedly targeted this house of Dhanmondi 32. On the night of 15th August 1975, some misguided members of the military killed Bangabandhu and his family in this house as part of a domestic and foreign conspiracy. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the Bengali nation, fell down bleeding on the stairs of this house. His two daughters Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Rehana survived because they were out of the country. But even after getting the news of losing all the family members, the group of murderers who grabbed power of the country did not allow any of them to return. After 6 years, on 17 May 1981, Bangabandhu's eldest daughter Sheikh Hasina returned to Bangladesh, but initially she was not allowed to enter the house in Dhanmondi. Later, when the forested house was opened, it was renovated. But anti-Bangladesh forces are still active. On the night of 10 August 1989, terrorists of the Freedom Party led by Bangabandhu's killer Farooq and Rashid again attacked that house in Dhanmondi. The whole area was shaken by gunshots and bomb blasts. Sheikh Hasina was in that house that night. Somehow she survived. Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Rehana decided to dedicate this house full of memories of Bangabandhu to the people of Bangladesh. As part of this, on 14 August 1994, the house was started as a Bangabandhu Memorial Museum under a trust. Sufia Kamal, the legendary poet of Bengali literature and one of the pioneers of women's progress, was present on the day of the museum's inauguration. Over a long period of time, this museum was built gradually by the efforts of Bangabandhu's family members and Bangabandhu lovers. Various rare photographs and many memorials of the last days of the great hero of Bengali freedom struggle were kept here. The bullet marks on the walls and stairs bearing witness to the horrific incident of 15 August 1975. Important documents of the Bengali freedom struggle had been placed in this museum. There was a rich Bangladesh. They went to the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum to pay tribute to the memory of this great leader, through which they became part of the glorious history of the Bengali nation.
First, Jia didn't hand over this house to me. He didn't allow me to enter this house. This house was sealed, locked. It was prevented from me. So after death of Jia, then the then government, they handed over this house to me, and this house was totally in a shattered position because many years, no one touched, no one touched this house. It was full of dust, and they not only killed the whole family, they also looted the house. So all evidences were there. So I cleaned up this house. I did it myself.
5th August 2024. Once again this important monument of Bengali history came under the wrath of anti-Bangladesh evil forces. After the overthrow of the Sheikh Hasina-led government in a domestic and foreign conspiracy, the attack was carried out on this house at Dhanmondi 32. The attackers set fire to the entire house with medieval brutality. Important documents, pictures and materials kept in the museum were burnt. Miscreants looted all the goods of the building. The International Council of Museums strongly condemned and protested the incident immediately. The structures that are associated with the birth of a nation today are just ruins. Anti-national evil forces have repeatedly struck Bangladesh to erase history and tradition. But did they succeed? They got their answer within 10 days of vandalizing the building. On the death anniversary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on 15th August, people came to pay their respects in that burnt building. Occupying groups unleashed their terror forces on the common people that day. Many people were injured in their attack. One person was killed. The so-called interim government, which came to power in an unconstitutional process, did not take any legal action against these incidents. Instead, they cancelled 15th August as a national day of mourning.
Dear viewers, what do you think? Will the mischief of radical Islamists against Bangladesh stop here? They definitely won't stop. The proof of which is that they again carried out a barbaric attack on the historic house at Dhanmondi 32, which was burned down on August 5th, on February 5, 2025. This second attack, just 6 months later, was announced in advance. Islamic fundamentalists, with the direct support of the country's unconstitutional Yunus government, vandalized most part of the historic building for 18 hours continuously and razed it to the ground. Government bulldozers were used for this purpose. Law enforcement agencies did not even put the slightest obstacle in this activity on government orders. Even though the army members arrived at the scene, they mysteriously left without stopping them. The attackers demolished the building and hoisted the flags of the banned militant organizations Hizb ut-Tahrir and ISIS on it. When ordinary people tried to stop them, the attackers openly beat and injured them, including a woman. Listen carefully to these slogans raised by the people standing in the ruins of the building the day after the militant flag was hoisted. This attack on Dhanmondi 32 and the subsequent events prove that this unconstitutional government led by Yunus is leading Bangladesh towards a radical Islamic militant state.
Even then, have they been able to remove the passion of Bengalis?
I am a common woman of this country. I love Bangabandhu. There are many people like me. The terrorists burned the last memory of Bangabandhu. I have no peace since the day they did this heinous act. It is very difficult to bear.
আমি সাধারণ পাবলিক সাধারণ জনতা এই 32 এর ভাষাটা হচ্ছে ঐতিহাসিক একটা দলিল যেখান থেকে হচ্ছে আমাদের
This house was a place rich in historical documents from where our call for independence was made. Those who burnt this house have created a disgraceful chapter for our nation.
এটা তার আসলে আমাদের বাঙালি হিসাবে আমাদের সারা জীবনের জন্য একটা কলঙ্কিত একটা অধ্যায় করে রাখলো
It is the home of Bangabandhu, the greatest Bengali of thousands of years, the father of the nation. It will remain, but those who burned this house will surely be punished by this nation one day.